Hello everyone, it's Vincent from ProtoPie, and as you may know, the ProtoPie 6.1 is released to the public with a very handy feature, which is the smart transition or the smart jump as they name it. So basically it works just like smart animate in Figma or in Adobe XD. And basically smart jump feature allows you to expand overlays, just to animate those skeleton loaders, pull to refresh, or even long press menus, among other functions too. And in this prototype, I'm going to walk you through how to use this specific feature. So yeah, let's get straight into it. So in this tutorial, I tried to mimic the behavior for the App Store. So you can see whenever you tap on an app card in the App Store, if you're an iOS user, and if you're an Android user, so uh, I will just show you how this works. So this is the App Store, and of course you can scroll and download or get any app you want. And whenever you tap on a card, then it expands and it animates, auto animates between two different screens. And then when you basically drag this image here, you can see how it resizes and scales down, and then it takes you back to the main screen. So now I will show you how I built this. So this is ProtoPie, but I always like to start by designing the UI in Figma. So this is Figma, and basically if you don't have any experience with it yet, Figma is a design tool, and it helps you design user interfaces and build low fidelity prototypes as well as high fidelity prototypes, but of course prototypes are very limited. That's why ProtoPie has a lot of better features where you can mimic a search function. Basically the user can use the native OS sensors, the camera, the keyboard, the native keyboard, and a lot of other features too. So back to our design here. So I tried to design the same App Store screen in Figma, and then I used the ProtoPie plugin for Figma. So I simply select the artboard and then I hit export. And in order this to work, you need to have ProtoPie opened and have a scene ready to receive what you are importing from Figma. And then after I did that, I moved to ProtoPie, and then I had my design placed here in this scene 1, and I duplicated the scene 1 into scene 2, and I made some modifications to some UI elements in the screen. And of course you can see here I have a trigger, which is a tap trigger, but I just named it main card because I'm tapping on the main card here. And then I added a jump response. So this jump response takes you to scene 2 with a smart transition. So having the smart transition selected, you can also, with ProtoPie 6.1, you can click on the easing curve here. You can choose different easing settings like linear ease, ease in, ease out. You can also play around with the curves just to have the desired effect. And of course you can change the duration and add a delay. So once tapping on this main card here jumps to scene 2, the smart transition. So it takes me to this screen. So I'll just click on the preview just to see it again. And here I added a pull trigger. Let me just put it on top. So this pull trigger basically allows you to pull downwards You can see this this arrow here, and I added a distance of 100 because I don't really want to keep pulling till the end. That's why I added a limit of 100. And then I kept the follow over pulling selection just by default, which is no, and added a duration of 2 seconds. And under the pull trigger, I added a jump response. So I'm jumping back to scene 1. And then I added a reset, just to reset this current scene after I jump to scene 1. Because if I simply remove or disable the reset, this is what happens. So I simply pull this one, go back to the first screen, and now if I tap again on this card, it takes me back to this to the last position where I left this card. And that's the reason why I added a reset response with a 0.4 seconds delay, because I really wanted to reset this scene after like 0.4 seconds from moving to scene 1. And I also used a range trigger, and here you can see it starts from 422 pixels. So whenever it's between 422 and 440, I added a scale response. So I need to scale this card to 80%. You can see here I selected the factor by factor and not by size. So now if I pull it down within the range that I chose, it scales down, and when I release, it takes me back to the home screen. And also I added a radius, so you can see we have a 16 pixels corner radius, because again, once I'm dragging it, you can see the corner radius. So yeah. Alright, so we will start building this prototype from scratch together. So let's start from Figma, and as you can see here in Figma, I have, this is my layer panel. I have the navbar, which is here at the top. I have my main card and the favorites. And if you expand the main card group, you can see here I have this rectangle, and this rectangle has a image fill, you can see here. And then I added the gradient on top of it, because unfortunately we can't add gradients in ProtoPie at the moment. But the great thing is that you can just import them from Figma. And we have this border layer, this outline, and some text here and there. I used this icon from the SF symbols from Apple. So first of all, you need to select the artboard and hit export, but you also need to make sure that you have the same dimensions in ProtoPie as Figma. So here I'm using the iPhone 13 Pro, and in ProtoPie you can see here I selected the 12 Pro, which is like the same size. And now I'm ready to export. So again, I will select the artboard, and you can see here it says export as one scene to ProtoPie, and I'll hit export. Alright, now I'm in ProtoPie, and my design is already imported here. And the first thing I'll do is just to rename this to scene 1, just to keep track of my scenes, especially in the case where I have like a lot of scenes and there are a lot of jump triggers between all of them. And what I will do next, if you remember here, once I click on this card and then I'm pulling it down, the whole group is resizing. And in order to get this result, you can see all my layers I grouped into or inside a content group here. So I'll go to container and just create a new container, or you can simply use the N shortcut. So I'll drag my container here, and let me name it, let's say, content, and I will move all my three groups into this content group here. And in order to have allow the smart animate or the smart jump works perfectly between two scenes, you need to have the same hierarchy. So now we can start by selecting scene 1, comment detail duplicate, and now I have scene 2, and ProtoPie automatically renames it as scene 2. Cool. So now we need to make like very few modifications for this in order to work. So first of all, I will select the favorites and the navbar, and we'll just change the opacity to 0%. This is done. And now let's expand the main card group. The great thing from exporting from Figma to ProtoPie is that it really keeps all your settings. So you can see here this image layer just have the same fill image, and if you would like to change it, you can simply click choose image and change it directly in ProtoPie, so you don't need to go back to Figma, change it, and export again. And we also have like some display settings here. So we have stretch, fit, and fill. So I will change it to fill, since in this scene I need basically to expand this group here, and of course we don't want to stretch the image. And at the same time, make sure to change this setting to have it the same as in scene 1 as in scene 2. So I'll select the image and choose fill. All right, so let us change this the height of this layer, and for the width I'll just make it 390, same as my artboard. And make sure to also have, you can basically change the origin to the center or to the bottom here. So yeah, let's put it here, and I will make it 390. All right, let us change this also to the bottom center here. Cool. Now for the gradient, I also need to change the origin and only change the width to 390. We also need to change the origin in scene 1. And now back to scene 2. Look at the border layer, so we don't need it here. So I will just decrease its opacity to 0%. And you can see here we have this now available. So I need to move it up. And this rectangle 5 here, which is the background for the now available, I can simply make it editable right in ProtoPie instead of changing its properties in Figma and export it back again. So I can click make editable. ProtoPie reserves all your settings, and then I just have like this. I need to have the same corner radius on the 4 sides. So let's say 8 pixels. Let's try to make it a bit bigger. So 12, maybe 10. All right. So now it works. Let's try to make it 8 again. Cool. And you can see here this gradient layer still has some rounded corners at the bottom, right? And in order to fix this, I will just increase its size a little bit, and I will select my content group and select clip sub layers. So this will act. Oops, didn't work now. Let's see. Oh, okay. So I think we need to make one more change here. Right. Yeah, okay. So this main card, we need to also make it bigger. So let's have 390 for the width. Okay, so I need to change all of these. Fixed width, fixed size. Okay, so yeah, let's make it 390 again. Center it, but then I need to change all of these back to the center. Alright, and this main card, I'll clip sub layers. Alright, let's try to move these back again here. Clip sub layers. Okay, so let's see why it's not working. Oh, alright, so I just need to increase its size a little bit. Alright, cool. So now I think we can just try to add this trigger just to see it in action. I will select the main card and click add trigger and choose stop. And in the previous one, I just renamed this main card. And then I'll click on this plus button to add a jump response. The target scene is scene 2, and we will use the smart jump. Let's try to make the duration a bit bigger, or maybe it's fine, 0.2. So I click here and boom, now you can see it auto animates to scene 2 with a very nice smart transition. Next, we need to basically move these texts here, all these elements here. Let's make it 16 pixels from both sides, and this download button also. And in order to scale this rectangle here, I can simply make it editable. And let me make it a bit bigger, and then in the width field just type -16. Alright, let's try it again. I'll just use the shortcut Command P to open the preview window, and now you can see everything is working perfectly. Alright, now we still need to add the text that you can see here, so I will just copy it now. So copy and paste it here, and I also need to paste it in the first scene, but then I need to decrease its opacity to 0% just to hide it from here. Alright, now it works. And now let's start building this pool behavior. So in scene 2, let's try to, this text one here should be inside. Let's put it here, and the same in here. Okay, now let's select the content group, and now we need to add a pull trigger and change the direction from top to bottom. Let's put the distance 100 and just keep everything as it is. So now I can pull it down, right? All right. Now we will also just try to use a variable in a bit, just to have the correct values for the Y position for this content group. Sorry. So we can simply create a variable for the scene and use the formula. And here we need to get the Y position for this content group. So I will choose the content dot Y. Now you can see if you hover over this variable 1, you can see a spider icon. So if you click on it, then you will be able to see the values right on the screen. Okay, so now I'm dragging it from 0 to 100. From 0 to 100. Alright. And as you can see here, this pull trigger has two responses. As we talked previously, it has a jump response and the reset response. And now we need to create this range trigger here. So let's start by adding the range trigger and select the content Y position. And then we need to choose this third option here just to add in between two values, so A and B. Let's try first to add from 0 to 100. And then we need to add a scale response for this content group. And we need to scale by, let's say, 80%. And now let's try it out. Okay, so now, oops, it's working automatically. Okay, let's see what's happening here. So this range, content Y. Okay, let's see. This variable. Oh, okay, so here we need to change one thing. You can see this whole content group has a center origin. So let's just select it from here and put it at the center. Now, of course, all the values will change, So now it starts from 422 to 522. So let's put 422, 522. Okay. I'm not sure why, honestly, it's happening like automatically. Let's add a jump response to scene 1. Okay, so now, okay, so let's see. So this is the range, and then this is the scale. It's weird, to be honest, because okay, so look, let's try to make it, instead of starting the range from 4 to 3. All right, so now it's working, because we don't want this animation to start without pulling. So now when I'm pulling it down, you can see the scaling is happening, and when I release it, then it takes me back to scene 1. All right, and now let's add a reset response for the current scene. we can simply remove the duration, no need for it, and let's add 0.4 seconds. So now I drag it down, or I pull it down, and then I'm back to scene 1. And now everything works perfectly. Now, one other thing that we need to change, you can see there's no corner radius at the moment. So let's add a radius, yeah, under the range trigger. First, to select this content group and choose to clip sublayers, so it acts like a mask. And now this radius should work. So let's pull this down. All right, and now the radius works. Once I release it, I'm back to scene 1. And now if I tap again, I'm back to scene 2. And of course we need to just remove or hide this variable from here. All right, so that's pretty much it for now. Please let me hear your feedback, and if you have any questions or anything, I would be more than happy to answer. And yeah, if there's anything else, please reach out, and see you on the next one.